family, having a nice Easter break. We hope we'll learn all about his travels when he comes back. He loves to say, let's go. We've got a lot going on the show today that we're going to be checking in on for you. Of course, you can always join us on YouTube. You can watch us live. Hi, everybody. And that would be 760 WJR. Please tune in. Watch us, listen to us. And of course, you can always get our podcasts at WJR.com. You missed something anytime today. We've had some great interviews throughout the day today on many different topics. You can pick them all up at WJR.com, and you can certainly feel like part of the family when you go there. That's for sure. Joining us this afternoon is our producer, Beth Ann Long, our engineer, Kelsey Phillips. Hi, ladies.
Hello.
Hello.
Beth Ann, I don't need to ask you what you did over the weekend. And it had something to do with basketball, right?
Yeah, we're in a big week of basketball.
All right, so let's listen into this.
Turned off in the final 10 seconds here of the regional final. Evans a three. Hail to Michigan. The Wolverines are on to the Final Four.
Now, Beth Ann, you told me you were really rooting for Michigan to win this one.
I am. They're just my favorite team at heart. I am such a maize and blue girl, so I am so excited to see them in the Final Four. It's helping my bracket as well. My bracket's pretty busted, but I still have Michigan at the end. So let's see.
All right. So they're going to face Arizona, and they're the number 1 seed in the West, and they're going to do the semifinal on Saturday at Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. The game is slated, another late game, 8:49. I guess that's not as late as some of the other games that we've seen, but nonetheless, a later game. That's going to be again on Saturday. And it's been since 2018 that Michigan has been in the Final Four. But yikes, since 1989, they haven't won the NCAA men's basketball championship. So I'm sure you're looking forward to. I don't follow sports the way some of you people do, but from what I hear, Michigan just had such a great performance that they've kind of put a little bit of fear into some of their opponents here.
They have. It's really exciting to see. I don't think I've seen a team as good as this one at Michigan in a really long time. Like, I was so young last time I saw them at this position, so I'm just so excited to see where they can go from here.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be talking about that next week. Huh? Wouldn't that be awesome, right?
That would make my life.
Yeah. Well, Ryan will be out of his mind.
Oh,
I know.
yes.
I mean, he will be absolutely out of his mind. I know he's a big Michigan fan. He went there, so of course he's true blue. And so we're looking forward to that. And I know it was a great weekend for all of the folks who really enjoy their basketball, and got to be rooting for Michigan as they head on to the Final Four. Kelsey, you big sports fan? You basketball fan?
You know, I played basketball for 10 years.
That's right. You're the one who we have a figure skater in Beth Ann, and we have a basketball player.
I was a basketball player as well.
Oh, wow. You guys are really well-rounded in sports, man. All right. And so, Kelsey, you do love basketball.
I do. I don't really watch it a ton, though. I really don't.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Oh, because you know what? Again, not somebody who follows, although I do love hockey, hockey fan from the time I was really little. That was something my family really followed. We went to a lot of Red Wings games, so that's my sport. But what I love about basketball is that it's such a fast-moving sport. That, I mean, just things can change so quickly, and it's just awesome to watch. I don't know, it's kind of exciting, really, when you think about it. So, so maybe, but you'll get on board here. You'll be a fan by the end of the week. By Saturday, you'll be a fan, right,
yeah.
Kelsey? Yeah,
yes.
you'll be watching. Okay, on a much more serious note, we just want to let you know that we're going to be watching throughout the afternoon here. The FBI, the Detroit Field Office is going to have a press conference this afternoon. They're going to provide an update on the March 12th attack at Temple, Israel. What we do know is that on the day of the attack, an armed suspect died after he rammed his vehicle into Temple, Israel in West Bloomfield Township. It was a Thursday afternoon, and that led to security guards engaging the suspect in gunfire. He died. Now, they're going to have an update. No one, by the way, other than that, was hurt in this incident. There were more than 100 children inside that building in preschools. uh, inside Temple Israel, their teachers, the staff of the temple, they were all there. Nobody was hurt. And thankfully, we can report that, and we're able to report that from the very beginning. All those kids got out safe. And that really goes to the great, great training that staff had and that the temple had, and the kind of security and the kind of investment that they made in security at their facility. So thank goodness nobody was hurt. But the FBI will be providing an update for us on this afternoon. Maybe perhaps we'll have more information on motive. Maybe we'll have a better look at what the timeline actually was here and what this individual was after, or the motive with this individual. So we'll be learning more about that a little bit later on this afternoon. I know that Beth Ann has her eye on that, and we'll try to bring it to you live. I'm not sure we're going to be able to do that, but we will try if we can do it. We are certainly going to help you out with that and do it too. Stephen Henderson was sitting in for Paul W. on Focus today, and his last bit was with Dan Austin with the historical group here in Detroit, and this fine work he's doing to really educate all of us about the incredible history that we have in our architecture and our buildings here in the city of Detroit. Dan Austin and his group. So Stephen asked, what's your favorite building? And so they talked back and forth about the different buildings in the city and they didn't mention the Fisher building. So as soon as we got off the air, I came into the studio and I said, Stephen, you're sitting in one of the best, if not the best, uh, examples of Art Deco architecture and history in the city of Detroit, and that's here in the Fisher building. Long been, I've had a big heart for the Fisher building. Obviously, I've worked here for so long. Every day that I come into this building, I see things in this building that I didn't notice before. That's how absolutely fabulous the building is. The doors to the elevators here are these brass relief pieces of art, and I mean, just something as simple as that. You're standing there waiting for the elevator to take you up to the studios here, and that's something to look at. The marble, there's inscriptions throughout this building, the tile work that's in this building. e- Every week, there are people who come in this building to either take their senior pictures, to take their wedding pictures in here, to take any, photographs family photographs. I mean, this is really one of the greatest buildings in the entire city of Detroit. So we joked about that, and Steven said, "Yeah, you're right. You're right. I forgot to mention the Fisher Building." All right, when we come back, we're going to bring you an update on Iran, the situation with the war in Iran. Will troops be headed to the Middle East? U.S. troops we're talking about here. We're going to be chatting a bit with Rocky Richkowski, retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. When we come back, you are listening to JR Afternoon, and we will return.
Hey there, JR listeners. Chris Alberta from Principium. Look, I have an urgent message for you today about your retirement. I don't care if you already retired, you're a few months away, or you're a few years away. You're going to be unemployed soon. And you probably don't have a pension because you are your pension. Recent all-time highs in the market. Look, you're at the top of the mountain. And now we're in an Iranian conflict. AI might replace your job. And like it or not, you could be retired as long as you were working. But despite all that, is the best time I have ever seen in my career to build you a retirement plan. The fixed rates are unbelievably good. Income models are killing it. You combine that with top-notch market management, and you're going to win. If you wait, you will lose. These rates will go down. You remember the 4% rule? My clients are using the 7% rule. They'll always have a paycheck, and that's freedom. Don't wait. Call me now, 888-800-8949. Call me, Chris Alberta, 888-800-8949.
Hey, Adam Devine here. Looking for a way to make a big change for all kids in your community? Just look for the balloon. When you see the Children's Miracle Network balloon at your local store, restaurant, or gas station, your donation provides crucial funds for local children's hospitals. Hospitals that provide life-changing care for all kids. Children's Miracle Network. Hospitals, partners, programs, and donors like you. Learn more at cmn.org.
Celebrate Easter at Mario's Detroit, where family means everything. Enjoy prime rib, peel and eat shrimp, omelet stations, assorted salads, desserts, and more. $45 for adults, $18 for kids, and under 4 eat free. Mario's, your premier destination for Italian food in Detroit since 1948. Call Mario's for reservations. 313-832-1616. That's 313-832-1616. Visit mariosdetroit.com for all the details.
Every day, unsung heroes are transforming our neighborhoods. And 760 WJR's Michigan Voices with me, Marie Osborne, is here to tell their stories. But we need your help to find them. Do you know a local nonprofit or other community organization making an impact? Help us shine a spotlight on their work. Email the details to michiganvoices@wjr.com. Let's join forces to amplify the people building a better Michigan. Michigan Voices, Sunday mornings at 5:30, only on 760 WJR.
Your morning is busy, so we'll keep it brief. Upgrade your routine with WJR's 5 Things First Thing. JR Morning with Chris, Lloyd, and Jamie break down the top 5 stories in just 5 minutes. Delivered straight to your device. Start your day by hitting play. Subscribe today on the always free WJR app.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Wendy's new Biggie Deals. Choose one of Wendy's new Biggie Deals. At $4, $6, and $8, pick one of the new Biggie Deals you're craving. For a pretty biggie deal, gotta be Wendy's. U.S. price and participation may vary.
WJR Traffic and Weather First is sponsored by Paramount Roofing. A new roof doesn't have to wait. With Paramount Roofing, pay no money down and enjoy 5 years at 0% interest. Get your instant free roof quote now at weareroofing.com. Built to last, backed for life. For homes and businesses alike, Paramount Roofing, roofing made easy. We've got a wreck on I-75 southbound at Dix Highway. That's causing stop-and-go traffic from Southfield Road. Your 2 left lanes are blocked there. We also have a wreck on 75 northbound after Bristol Road. A disabled vehicle blocks your right lane on I-94 eastbound after Rawsonville Road. Police and emergency crews are on the scene. And we do have that construction project on the Jeffries westbound between Levan Road and I-275. That's blocking your 2 left lanes. You're slow for about a mile there. Now WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
Showers, thunderstorms popping into the forecast. Some could be strong or severe, especially tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Best bet for active, strong, and severe storms Tuesday to close down the month of March. Mostly cloudy and 70 degrees today. Low tonight 60. Isolated shower today. Scattered storms tomorrow. Some severe. High 71. I'm meteorologist Scott Lauriamore at the Weather Channel on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
Don't miss Detroit Mayor Mary Sheffield's first State of the City address. It's Tuesday night at 8 on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
And we are back. Iran says it's waiting for possible U.S. ground assault as 3,500 troops arrive in the Gulf. We're talking about U.S. troops here. Iran said on Sunday it is ready to face U.S. troops on the ground, accusing Washington of secretly planning an assault while seeking negotiations to end the war. That happening at the same time, they claim. And what about regime change in Iran? Secretary of State Marco Rubio told Good Morning America today that it would be, quote, good news for the Iranians and America if there are new people in charge who have a more reasonable vision of the future. Lots of things happening in the Middle East today. As always, Rachi Rechkowski, a retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army, joining us to talk a little bit specifically about what it may mean to bring in U.S. troops here at this point. Rocky, welcome to JR Afternoon. Always a pleasure.
Great to be on with you, Marie.
So let's talk a bit about these 3,500 troops that are arriving in the Gulf right now. What specific national security objectives do you think would justify deploying this many troops on the ground in Iran?
Actually, Marie, if I can just take a step back and say the 3,500 would be the Marines and the Navy amphibious groups that would be launching onto any type of island or land-based facility. There's also another up to 10,000 troops from the 82nd Airborne. Right now, I believe they've released about 1,500 of a command section, as well as the QRF, which is the Quick Reaction Force or the Immediate Reaction Force that has pre-positioned itself. Now, the president hasn't made any decision as of yet to use ground troops, and a lot of things could force his hand one way or the other. One of those things is what happens with the Iranian people if the Iranian people stand up and revolt, because we know that over 90% of the population of Iran is against this form of government, but you have the 10%. And when you talk about 10% in Iran, you're talking about 9 million people that are part of the IRGC or have some hand in the IRGC government or the control as it was. What's interesting also is to see what the Mossad is doing. The Israelis are actually phone calling these IRGC commanders on their cell phones. They have their cell phone numbers, and they're calling them in Farsi and letting them know in Farsi, in their own native tongue, that, hey, lay down your weapons. If the people stand up, do not attack your own people. Let your people revolt against this government and form a government that is more Western pro-West. So the president has to first look at what is happening in Iran, and secondly, how much control the IRGC Navy, which doesn't have any more boats, but they do have drone-launched facilities and still some missiles left that they can attack boats in ships in the Straits of Hormuz. And that's the key issue. Will the Straits of Hormuz open up, and will oil flow freely?
So we've been hearing a lot about Karg Island. I hope I'm saying that
Yes.
correct.
Yes, correct.
Kharg. Karg Island. So I did a little reading on that because I thought it was fascinating. So apparently, that island, it's Iran's primary oil export hub. They handle about 80 to 90% of the country's crude oil exports. And the thinking may be that we put ground troops or troops there to secure that oil and to cut it off from Iran, therefore really cutting off their income source.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. If you crush Iran's financial capabilities and their economy even worse than it is right now, they will not be able to do any further export, any further import. And when you crush their economy further, what will happen is the people will have to revolt because their quality of life is being deteriorated tremendously, as well as their ability to live. And you're right about Karg Island. Right now, the military of both Israel and the United States, as well as this is something that the media is not talking about, but the Saudis were involved. The Saudi Royal Air Force was involved partially in the Karg Island bombings and missile attacks. And that's one of the reasons why Iran felt very comfortable attacking the U.S. base in Saudi Arabia recently. So right now, the Karg Island's military installations, the Iranian military installations, as well as the IRGC installations on Karg Island have been decimated. And the thought would be that if we were to take over Karg Island, we would basically suffocate Iran financially and economically. The other issue about Karg Island is you're absolutely correct. It's about 90% of Iran's total economy because of the oil and liquid natural gas that goes through the island. And it's pumped in through this island and then put on vessels and delivered to countries that would basically purchase it from Iran.
Let's talk a little bit about troops again on the ground. Would would the U.S. have to get Congress to approve this kind of action, or could the action take place without congressional approval?
Well, as of right now, if you're familiar with the War Powers Act, the president is still within that window where he can use the military, especially on a ground attack on an island such as that, and not worry about congressional approval. Once he goes over a specific amount of days, he wants to get out of Iran, and if he doesn't achieve that, then he's going to have to go to Congress. Otherwise, we have a constitutional violation, and the president's very cognizant of that. The other issue is that if you think about what they did in Venezuela, the military, and the attack and the mission in Venezuela, the classified equipment and machinery, and as well as weapons that were used to destabilize the military and eradicate or terminate the military. I hate to use those words, but because we are talking about individuals, but these are enemy forces at this time. And the types of classified weapons that we would be using there, we would again be using in Carg Island as well as against the IRGC to protect our forces, as well as to create what's called a force multiplier, which makes our military that much stronger on the ground.
Mm. We're 4 weeks into this war now. 1 month. The president talked about 3 weeks when all this started, kind of tossed around that number. And now we're hearing maybe 6 weeks total operations here. I mean, people are getting quickly tired of this operation. Do you still have a holdout hope that this is going to end the way we had hoped?
I do. I really do. And I do understand the 3-week initial perspective and how that perspective has gone beyond the 3 weeks that the president talked about. And listen, you may be pro the president's position or anti the president's position, but we need to understand why we're in Iran and understand why we're using military assets. And when you look at this, we've been at war with Iran for 47 years. I lost a friend in Iraq to the IRGC. And these folks have been not just focusing on our allies, but focusing on the United States. And I know that there's people on the right and on the left that are against this. The poll numbers have dropped in support of this because we're seeing the cost at home on prices and on our cost of living. I get it. But our children's freedom and the exercise of free passage of the economy and making sure that we eliminate thugs like the IRGC, like the Ayatollah on the world stage is important for the United States and our national security.
Do you think the president has done the best job possible to communicate that message to the country?
You know where I stand politically. I will answer that very honestly and say no. We need to start looking at how Theodore Roosevelt, Franklin Roosevelt, and Ronald Reagan, when they had an issue, they went to the people. Our people, especially the American people, are thirsty for information. We don't want to give them too much tactical information, but we need to explain to Americans what the end state is and why we're there.
Rocky Richkowski, retired lieutenant colonel in the U.S. Army. Always a pleasure. Have a great afternoon. We'll return here on JR Afternoon.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
2 words. Prostate exam. Did your butt just clench? Relax. Screening starts with a simple, finger-free blood test. Around 1 in 8 men in the United States will be diagnosed with prostate cancer in their lifetime. But don't clench. Prostate cancer can have over a 99% 5-year relative survival rate when caught at a localized or regional stage. If you're 40 or older and have a prostate, visit RelaxIt'sABloodTest.com to see if a PSA blood test is right for you. Talk to your doctor about screening and next steps. Sponsored by Novartis.
Probate is bad. It's slow, it's expensive, and it's completely public. But the good news is you can avoid probate entirely with a revocable living trust. A revocable living trust keeps you in control of the who, the what, and the when. Who receives your assets, what assets they receive, and when they receive them. And when your assets are properly owned by or payable to the trust, you bypass probate and protect your family from the delays and costs that come with it. At Estate Planning Legal Services, their attorneys walk you through every step. They'll help retitle your assets at no charge. And if you need any changes in the future, they're free for life. With more than 25 years serving Metro Detroit families, they know how to make the process clear, affordable, and stress-free. Get the peace of mind you deserve. Contact Estate Planning Legal Services today for your free consultation and learn how a revocable living trust can work for you. 248-435-0400 or go to eplspc.com, 248-435-0400.
News, I'm John Saucier. The U.S. preparing to deploy thousands more soldiers to the Middle East. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt.
Iran's ballistic missile and drone attacks are down by roughly 90%. The United States is also decimating the Iranian regime's navy. We have destroyed more than 150 of their naval vessels so far, including 92% of their largest vessels.
A Fox poll released last week found 58% of American voters are opposed to this war with Iran. The government still partially shut down, although the president signed an emergency order to pay TSA agents. Democratic Delaware Senator Chris Coons says Democrats would not approve of funding for ICE and Customs and Border Protection without reforms.
We want reforms to how ICE and Border Patrol are conducting immigration enforcement actions, and we've negotiated about that.
America is listening to Fox News.
WJR traffic and weather first.
We have an accident on the Lodge southbound off-ramp to eastbound I-94. Some slowdowns on the Jeffries westbound between Levan Road and I-275 due to construction blocking your two left lanes. I-75 southbound at I-94, an accident blocks your right lane there. We also have a wreck on I-75 southbound at Dix Highway. That's causing stop and go from Outer Drive. Police and emergency crews are on the scene. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. A mix of sun and clouds for the afternoon. A high of 72. Slight chance of a rain shower. Cloudy for tonight will drop down to 61. More clouds for Tuesday. Scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. Some of those may be severe. A high of 71 for tomorrow. Right now it's sunny and 70 degrees. I'm Rich Luzensky, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Hi friends, Bill Golling here to tell you about the Declaration of Deals sales event going on all March long at Golling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Right now, qualified Chrysler employees with lease loyalty can lease a 2026 Jeep Compass Limited 4x4 from our CTP fleet for just $289 a month. Leases for 27 months, 10,000 miles a year with $2,000 down, plus tax title plates and Dakar Extra. That's Golling Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bloomfield Hills, Roseville, Chelsea, or our newest location on Mac in Detroit, are always at Golling.com.
For more than 35 years, MetroCars has set the standard for professional transportation across Michigan and beyond. MetroCars is proud to serve as the official transportation provider of 760 WJR. Executives and business travelers trust MetroCars for dependable airport transportation and seamless corporate travel. From early morning departures to late night arrivals, their professional chauffeurs ensure every ride is punctual, comfortable, and stress-free. Choose MetroCars. MetroCars.com.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There's a tremendous price war among the major term life companies. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past 2 years. For example, a man age 45 non-tobacco user, $1 million of coverage is only $75 per month, level for the next 10 years. Or a man age 50 non-tobacco user can buy $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of only $110, guaranteed not to change for the next 20 years. That's right, level rates for 20 years. And if you're a smoker, we have great rates for you as well. At the Term Lifeline, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. So if you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call right now for a free quote.
800-676-1090. 800-676-1090. 800-676-1090. That's 800-676-1090.
Rates and availability may vary by state. Sample rate quotes are based on preferred non-tobacco underwriting exam required to qualify.
Paid for by Airtime Media. Never miss
The Daily Dose.
The Daily Dose. The Daily Dose
The Daily Dose
of Deets. The Daily Dose of Deets. The top of mind topics and stories.
Because America keeps building, innovating, and growing.
But at a depth and breadth that only Kevin Dietz can conceive.
Love doesn't have to be built on these grand gestures.
It's can't miss radio.
You can't fake that kind of leadership Verlander is going to be able to bring to Scooball.
Kevin's own unique take on news and entertainment that'll get you talking all day.
Social media should not get a pass just because it's digital.
And into tomorrow. The Daily Dose of Dietz. First thing out of the gate on All Talk with Kevin Dietz. Weekdays at 9 on WJR. Wake up tomorrow with JR Morning. with Chris Renwick, Lloyd Jackson, and Jamie Edmonds on 760 WJR. Right now, it's JR Afternoon with Ryan Ermanni, with Marie Osborne sitting in.
This next story has caused a lot of discussion within our family and a group of friends, and lots of people I know are talking about this particular story. A new bill at the Michigan Capitol is putting a spotlight on elderly driver safety. State Senator Rosemary Bayer has introduced legislation that would require drivers over 75 to retake written knowledge, vision, and road tests every 4 years. And if you're over 85, well, you're going to have to take those tests every year. The push for a change comes after a car crash in October of 2024. The state senator says that there was a person, two people who were in a car and they were running errands. And this person, an older driver, 94-year-old, runs into the back of their car. The woman gets out of her car to step back to check on the damage, and the driver accelerated, hitting and killing that woman. And that's what prompted her to put together this legislation. We did, by the way, try to get State Senator Rosemary Bayer to come on the air. Apparently, her schedule did not allow for that. So we want to talk about this. We want to get your thoughts on it, too. We're going to open the lines up a little bit later in the show. But right now, let's talk to Dr. Anna Doherty, the director of the Institute of Gerontology and associate professor of psychology at Wayne State University. Hi, Dr. Doherty. Glad you could join us today.
Hi, Marie. Thanks for having me.
So, does age affect everyone's ability to drive in the same way? In your work, you see this all the time. So, does it? If I'm 75 and I'm driving, do I have the same skill set as maybe another person?
This is a great question, Marie. And honestly, it's what really drives me in my research. I'm a cognitive neuroscientist. I study how the brain ages and how that affects thinking and memory processes for our everyday life. And what's really important to remember is that driving is an incredibly complex skill. It requires real-time monitoring and adapting. It requires us to react. It requires some memory functions. We remember where we're going. There's motor coordination, and there's also very complex visual processing. All of these things decline as we age. And in the laboratory, we can actually start to see changes in these things as early as 30.
Oh.
But most people won't start noticing these changes in their everyday life until after age 50. And for people who are healthy aging, they're going to continue to notice some declines. But in most cases, they're going to be safe to continue to be on the road with some careful monitoring. But for people who are carrying diseases, and maybe at the early stages of things like Alzheimer's disease or related dementias, or may have had a stroke or a heart attack, these people are going to be at increased risk for even sharper decline. So it's definitely not one size fits all.
So there is so much of a gray area here to talk about then. And also you kind of touched on it, but as we age, our vision diminishes, our hearing diminishes, our reflexes diminish, our reflexes in terms of like how fast I can move my legs and, to put the brake on or put the accelerate, all those things change. And basically when in terms of the state and giving driver's license tests, it's just kind of this test and you get it every few years, and that's how we determine whether or not you're good behind the wheel of the car. And this legislation, of course, would change that. So what are some of the signs that somebody should not be behind the wheel of a car?
Well, so I do want to circle back to something you just said, Marie, which is really important. There are so many different things that contribute to operating a vehicle. And some of those things might be declining, while some might be fairly stable for the person. So someone who might be having vision problems, it might be a matter of getting an updated prescription for the glasses. But for someone who's having a harder time in high traffic scenarios or in inclement weather, or they're under stress that day, some of those problems are actually related to cognitive processing, the thinking part. So they're seeing fine, but the brain that's processing that information is showing some slowing down. So these are actually very difficult to tease apart what the causes are, but some of the common behaviors that we see in everyday life look the same. So We might not understand the cause, but we can be on the lookout for a couple things. It's extremely common to start to slow down in your responses to new things in an environment. So that might be a ball that jumps out in front of you while you're driving down the street. It might also be that light turned red and I didn't quite notice the yellow light. So if you are running into a situation where you feel like you're starting to be slower to respond, it's worthwhile to have a conversation with your primary care physician. They're going to be in the best position to help you gauge, is this actually a true impairment? Or is it something like you're not sleeping enough, or maybe you have some new medications that have a side effect? A lot of impairments in driving are actually due to temporary causes, not significant decline. So if we can figure out those causes, we can often reverse it. Yeah. Other common indicators are minor accidents, especially if you have multiple minor accidents in a short period of time. So lots of fender benders or dings of a car in a parking lot multiple times within a year. Also, people will report feeling like they get lost more or having just difficulty getting around. And we actually find that for some people, these are the complaints that get them in the door for the assessment that helps us learn that they do have risk for Alzheimer's disease and related dementia. So it's a complicated story. Not all people who are declining will get these diseases, but we do see people who have more of these problems at around age 60 tend to be at a higher risk category. So they go hand in hand.
So, what do you think of this legislation? And you don't have to give your endorsement or anything like that. Just give us kind of an overview of what you think of this legislation. Is it a good idea then to be doing this?
This is a $1 million question, right, Marie?
And we're going to ask you.
We're going to ask me. So, on one hand, age is just a number. It communicates that there's been time for things to accumulate in our life, and sometimes those are risk factors that put us on a trajectory where we're going to have impairment. But for most people, they are going to be able to maintain an independent way of life until their latest years. It's for the people who have risks that we haven't been able to find yet that I think legislation like this could be very helpful. It's giving them information early on so they might be able to follow up with their care provider or work with their care partners to think of alternative plans. So while I appreciate the public health imperative that is driving this bill, I think it's equally important that we're having a conversation about what resources are in place to support the older adult to have an independent life if they are choosing not to drive or by this bill being told that they can't drive. And I say that, Marie, because things like social isolation, loneliness, and decreases in community engagement are all things that are going to worsen outcomes for older adults and make their lives less enjoyable. So we might take away the keys. They might decide to hang up their keys. What else are we putting in place so they can maintain their independent life?
That to me is such a cornerstone of this discussion. And that is, I know so many people who've had to have or either have had to have the discussion with their parents or older loved one, or that they've had to have the discussion of, look, we need to discuss about you driving. And that becomes so fraught with emotion. And really, this kind of legislation might take that out of their hands in a way and maybe make available some services that could really help them. I always think that rideshare was invented for people who can't drive anymore or don't want to drive anymore. It's a great resource if you can afford that to have a service drive you. So, our discussion not long enough, I'm afraid, Dr. Doherty. Thank you so much for joining us today, giving us a glimpse and some things to think about as we consider that this may become legislation that will be considered in our state of Michigan. Thanks, Dr. Doherty. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
And we will return here on JR Afternoon.
Hey, gang, it's Ryan Ermanni here. I want to tell you about my friends at Paramount Roofing. Living in Michigan, March is when we start to see what winter has done to our homes. All the snow, all the ice, all the wind, it takes a toll on your roof. When I met with owner Eric Reno and his team, they showed me just how easy they make the whole process. All you need to do is visit weareroofing.com. You're going to get an instant free roof quote. No waiting, no pressure, just real information. What I love is their approach. Everything is built to last and backed for life. A truly 5-star roofing experience. If you're worried about timing or budget, don't. Paramount Roofing offers no money down plus 5 years, 0% interest. They handle both residential and commercial roofing. So whether it's your home, your office, the property you manage, they've got you covered. Spring is coming. Now it's up to you to check on that roof. Get an instant free quote today. WeAreRoofing.com. That's WeAreRoofing.com. Paramount Roofing.
For more than 35 years, MetroCars has set the standard for professional transportation across Michigan and beyond. MetroCars is proud to serve as the official transportation provider of 760 WJR. Executives and business travelers trust MetroCars for dependable airport transportation and seamless corporate travel. From early morning departures to late night arrivals, their professional chauffeurs ensure every ride is punctual, comfortable, and stress-free. Choose MetroCars. MetroCars.com.
The road to the NCAA Men's Final Four is now a straight shot for the 4 regional champions, with sights set on the national semifinals Saturday in Indianapolis. And for the women, the last 2 tickets to the Final Four in Phoenix get punched tonight. Who will claim the NCAA Division I basketball championship trophies? Find out with Westwood One's exclusive coverage of the NCAA men's and women's tournaments right here.
O'Reilly. Check engine, ABS, or maintenance light on? Take the guesswork out of your warning lights with O'Reilly Veriscan. The service is free and provides a report with solutions verified by ASE certified master technicians. And if you need help, we could recommend a shop for you. Ask for O'Reilly Veriscan today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by Lowe's. Shop Springfest at Lowe's to get an additional free Ego 56-volt battery when you buy a select Ego mower, trimmer, or blower. Only at Lowe's. Valid through April 8th while supplies last.
WJR Traffic and Weather First is sponsored by Weather Seal Home Improvements. This year, don't just get a tax refund, upgrade it. Turn your refund into a bigger return with a brand new roof from Weather Seal Home Improvements. Right now, they'll add an extra $1,000 to your refund toward your new roof. That's a smart deal. Book today at weathersealhomeimprovements.net. That's weathersealhomeimprovements.net. We've got an accident on I-75 southbound at I-94. That's causing slow traffic from Holbrook Street, also blocking your right lane. Another wreck on the Lodge southbound off-ramp to eastbound I-94. We have a disabled vehicle on M14 westbound at Sheldon Road, and another wreck on the northbound Southfield Freeway on-ramp from Schoolcraft. That's blocking your right shoulder. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
Concerned about the possibility of severe storms tomorrow, large hail, tornadoes, a possibility all across southern Michigan for Tuesday. And our best bet for thunderstorms would be midday, early afternoon Tuesday. Stay weather aware tomorrow. Cloudy today and mild, 70 degrees. Low tonight, 60. Scattered strong or severe storms tomorrow, 71, turning cooler for early April. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore at the Weather Channel on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
Call us or text us. The number's the same. 1-800-859-0957. 1-800-859-0WJR. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto Accident Attorneys. Visit autolaw.com. That's autolaw.com.
This week is the holiest and most solemn period for Christians, as it is the final week in Lent. And for Christians, it commemorates the events leading up to the resurrection of Jesus Christ. And this Easter, the Archdiocese of Detroit will welcome more than 1,400 people into the Catholic Church. That is the highest number in over 2 decades, highlighting a growing search for connection and meaning. We wanted to learn more about this with Father Joe Malia, a priest with the Archdiocese of Detroit, serving at St. Kieran Parish in Shelby Township, right, Father?
That's correct.
All right. Glad you could join us today. So this isn't just a trend in Detroit with more people joining the church. I've seen reporting on this from around the country. So what do you think is driving this trend?
You're right. It actually has been going on for a couple of years. Last year set a record, and this year even beat it nationally. We see it growing in France and in England and other places as well. Africa, for example, is seeing great growth in the church. I think a lot of it has to do with people just really searching for real meaning. They're not looking for superficiality anymore. That's not sufficient. I think COVID was a big driver in people's desire to find real meaning in their life. And I think the seclusion of COVID and other things like that really affected people. The other thing is the number of apologists that are out there on social media talking about what the church really believes. I think it's having an effect as well.
What do you mean by that?
Well, I think young people are encountering the church in new ways, and I think that they're seeing, the traditions and the teachings and all those kinds of things that have evolved in the church, especially the social teachings of the church, and finding real meaning, purpose, and direction in it.
Okay, but what did you mean by the apologists? I'm just wondering about that.
Oh, apologists are people who don't apologize for the faith, but explain it. That's been a traditional role within the church, but it's taken on a new form recently.
I also wonder if this push for meaning also isn't because AI is becoming such a big part of our lives. And frankly, it's a little scary for a lot of us to understand what AI is and what kind of role it's going to have in my life. And I think people are thirsting for human connection in their lives, not just with a bot, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So they're,
And I think that human connection is what drives people to church, where they can encounter other people with questions and concerns and looking for answers. And that whole sense of community is an important part of what people need and want.
I've noticed a lot as I scroll through social media. I will tell you this: I've seen a lot of memes. You know what a meme is?
Yep.
Thousands of them, in fact. But it's funny to me because a lot of them have spiritual meaning. I often see quotes by the Dalai Lama, Pope Leo, Pope Francis, Mother Teresa, Buddha, all these like a two-sentence saying, if you will. And it's something profound and thoughtful, actually a nice break from usually the stuff you find on social media. But it tells me that people are looking for a deeper spiritual meaning in life and not just not something just like not just a superficial engagement.
You're right. And I think, again, that points back to COVID when we were all secluded and we were just left alone with our own thoughts.
Yeah.
And as we came to realize, maybe I don't have all the answers, and maybe things are a bit more complicated than we want to think they are, that they need a lot more reflection, not just a simple off the cuff, what I'm thinking or feeling at that particular moment kind of approach.
While we talk about the archdiocese welcoming in these new Catholics, which is great, there's also this looming issue of the church closures that have to happen. And that, it's a very challenging time for the archdiocese. We understand that. But how do you explain these two things happening at once? More people joining, but yet churches having to close. How do we see both of those things happening at the same time?
I think a lot of that has to do with demographics. Where are people moving? Where are they living? And where are they abandoning? And, we can't, as beautiful some of those churches are, and as traditional as some of them are, if there's no people in that neighborhood, if there aren't people attending that church, Pope Francis was very fond of saying that we don't run museums, we run parish communities, and so there has to be people there. And it isn't the first time that the church has had to move communities. That's why we built churches out into the suburbs early on in the 70s and 80s and so on, and because that's where people are at.
Yeah. Talk a little bit about Holy Week. I know obviously this would be a good time for people to kind of maybe either come back to their traditional church if maybe they've not been for a while, or maybe they're, like you said, they're seekers and maybe they're looking for something more meaningful in their life. And this would be the week. Tell us the meaning, the deeper meaning of what this Holy Week is for Catholics and really for Christians.
Well, we get to celebrate, that moment in time when Jesus took upon himself the sins of the world and redeemed us. It is the greatest celebration of God's love for us. I know people like to talk about Christmas as being a season of love, but there is no greater love than Jesus dying for our sins and redeeming us and opening for us the path to heaven. I think sometimes we misunderstand the cross. St. Paul talks about it as being a folly and a stumbling block. And most people see it as a sign of suffering, but it really is a sign of God's infinite love. So as we celebrate on Holy Thursday, Jesus' last meal with his disciples, where as Catholics we believe he instituted the Eucharist and gave us the bread of life, which is his body and his blood, soul and divinity. We celebrate the death of Christ on Good Friday, but that's not where it ends. It ends with the resurrection and celebrating his rising from the dead, and where he is gone, we hope to follow.
We're talking to Father Joe Malia, priest of the Archdiocese of Detroit, serving in St. Kieran Parish in Shelby Township. Father, very quickly before we go, part of the issue with getting people to engage more with their faith means that they need to be welcomed back. Can you talk a little bit about that and what the church is doing to welcome people back to the faith and saying, here, come and take a look at what we have to offer?
I think we do an awful lot, again, within social media, online, and even like we're having this revival coming up in July, is a way of helping people to understand their place in the church and the church's place in their lives.
We want to thank you for your thoughts today, Father Joe Malia, and we hope you have a very thoughtful, prayerful week here as you lead your congregation in the Holy Week commemoration. Thank you, Father. We appreciate your time today.
Thank you.
And we'll continue here on JR Afternoon.
How would you like to finally lose all those unwanted pounds quickly without spending thousands on painful injections or prescriptions? Hi, it's Donna Simpson, health and wellness expert. You probably know someone that is using Ozempic, the hottest diet craze in the country. Everyone knows about this prescription injection. Celebs use it to look their best. The problem is most of us can't afford Ozempic, and these injections can be so uncomfortable. Now you can lose the weight just as easily, but with no needles, no expensive prices, no side effects, and no worries. You need to try Lozempic, a new miracle weight loss breakthrough that performs so well it's been called nature's Ozempic. Lozempic is an easy-to-take diet pill now available without a prescription, being used by thousands to get rid of those unwanted pounds. So call now and find out how to get a free bottle.
To find out how to get your free bottle of Lozempic, call 800-631-7101, 800-631-7101. Free bottles are limited, so call 800-631-7101. That's 800-631-7101.
It's the Inside Outside, guys. Time for your home's annual checkup.
Start by checking your roof for missing shingles. Make sure downspouts are moving water away from your foundation.
And don't forget to inspect all that caulking around your windows and doors. Small gaps can mean big energy losses.
For the area's most trusted contractors to help you with your next home project, visit guys at InsideOutsideGuys.com. That's InsideOutsideGuys.com.
Sponsored by Rhino Shield of Michigan.
Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey. Mark and Cheryl here with Rhino Shield Ceramic Coatings.
Coating your house in Rhino Shield means you'll never have to paint again.
Just ask Inside Outside guy Ken Calverley. He had his house coated by Rhino Shield.
Just like Ken, your home will continue to look beautiful year after year. Call us today at 248-814-7600.
That's 248-814-7600 or rhinoshieldmi.com.
Connect direct with the WJR app. This is the great voice of the Great Lakes. 760 WJR, Detroit, a Cumulus media station.
The
clock's ticking for Iran. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News, says Operation Epic Fury continues.
The New York Post is reporting that President Trump says he is giving the Speaker of the Islamic Republic's parliament about 1 week to decide whether or not to work with the United States. And the president also says that the U.S. has struck highly sought after military targets in Iran. And President Trump says negotiations with the powers that be in Iran are moving along.
Fox's Matt Finn in Dubai. President Trump also posting about serious discussions with a new and more reasonable regime to end military operations in Iran. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt says anything they hear from the Iranians in private would be tested.
When the president says more reasonable, again, these folks are appearing more reasonable behind the scenes privately in these conversations than perhaps some of the previous leaders who are now no longer on planet Earth because they lied to the United States.
The president repeating a threat to target Iran's energy sites if a deal is not reached soon. Leavitt reiterating his recent 10-day extension to April 6th. Iran still targeting Gulf neighbors. And in southern Lebanon, where Israel has been fighting Iran-backed Hezbollah, the UN says 3 peacekeepers have been killed.
The peacekeepers died in 2 separate incidents in the space of 24 hours. Today, 2 Indonesian staff from UNIFIL, the United Nations mission in Lebanon, were killed in the country's south. What's described as an explosion of unknown origin destroyed their vehicle. Yesterday, a UNIFIL peacekeeper was killed when a projectile exploded at one of its positions.
Fox's Jonathan Savage. A deadly shooting at a high school in Texas. Sheriff's officials say a 15-year-old boy shot a teacher and then shot himself. A sheriff's spokesman telling the Associated Press the boy died and the teacher was taken to a San Antonio hospital. No word yet on her condition. This happened at Hill Country College Prep High in Bulverde, just north of San Antonio. America is listening to Fox News.
WJR traffic and weather first.
We have an accident blocking your 2 right lanes on I-75 southbound at Dix Highway. That's causing stop-and-go traffic from 4th Street. Another wreck on 75 southbound at I-94. You're slow from Clay Street. Steer clear of an accident on the Lodge southbound. The ramp to eastbound I-94. You can still get through. They're actually cleaning that up, but it is going to be a little slower. We've got a disabled vehicle blocking your right lane on M14 westbound at Sheldon Road. And we still have that wreck on the northbound Southfield Freeway on-ramp from Schoolcraft. That's blocking your right shoulder. Now, WJR weather first from the Weather Channel. A mix of sun and clouds this afternoon, a high of 72. Slight chance of a rain shower. Cloudy for tonight will drop down to 61. More clouds for Tuesday. Scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. Some of those may be severe. We'll get up to 71. Right now it's sunny and 69 degrees. I'm Rich Luzensky, WJR traffic and weather first.
Hear that? That's Mike. He took ZQL Pure Z's, so now he's sleeping soundly on a Sunday night. ZQL Pure Z's are fast-acting melatonin gummies with a complementary botanical blend to help Mike get the sleep he needs to wake up refreshed and ready to conquer Monday.
Let's do this Monday.
ZQL Pure Z's, just for sleep. Really great sleep. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. These products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Hey, Jim Harper here. Quick story. I needed new glasses. And like many of you, I thought, well, I can go online. That's easy. But then I remembered the last time I did that, it wasn't easy. They didn't look good on me and they weren't cheap. So then what? You can't take them back to the store. It's the web. Then I remembered Direct Optical Optique. Many of you got your glasses there. You looked great and had a wonderful experience. And that's what I remembered, the experience. I remembered Mariana, Frame Stylist of the Year, and how great she and her staff were at helping me find the right frame at a good price. And that's all we want, right? And they have 2 great locations, Haggerty Road north of Maple in West Bloomfield, and in Canton on Ford Road next to the IKEA. Go see Mariana at Direct Optical Optique. She still knows everybody by name. 3 generations of loyal customers for a reason, because you get the attention you deserve. Direct Optical Optique in West Bloomfield and in Canton, and at OptiqueDetroit.com.
Say hello to another great voice. This is JR Afternoon with Ryan Ermanni on 760 WJR with Marie Osborne sitting in.
And good afternoon, everyone. A great Monday afternoon. We can finally, I think, maybe say spring is finally here. The temperatures outside are awesome today. Just great. Hopefully, you'll get a chance to go outside. I got the car wash, so that means, of course, tomorrow there will be rain. That's usually how it works for me. So, couldn't drive the car anymore, couldn't see through the front window. You know how that goes. We're so glad you could join us on this Monday afternoon. Beth Ann Long alongside producing today. Kelsey Phillips is our engineer, as always. Ryan Ermanni taking a few days off to be with his family for Easter break. Lots happening sports wise this week, of course. We've got Michigan in the Final Four. So much excitement there. Of course, Beth Ann is absolutely over the moon over all this. Michigan heading to the Final Four. First time since 2018. They last won the NCAA men's basketball championship back in 1989. So this is a very exciting weekend. Their win over Tennessee over the weekend was so decisive that I think they got the attention of a lot of their competitors. So, and also we know Ryan's a big Michigan fan as well. So he's going to be all over this when he comes back. Hopefully we'll have this will last a lot longer than just next Saturday and they'll make it on to the finals, but we'll see. We're hoping. Also, we are standing by this afternoon. The FBI, the field office, is hosting a press conference this afternoon. They have an update on the March 12th attack at Temple, Israel, where one person was killed. A man drove a vehicle, a truck, through the front doors of Temple, Israel in West Bloomfield. It was a Thursday afternoon. That temple was packed with children. There were more than 100 of them there in preschool, along with their caretakers, staff, teachers, and of course, staff from the temple. Nobody else was hurt. The person who drove the truck through the front door of the building, they were taken down by security in the building, or they died in the incident, we should say. There has been indications that he may have taken his own life. But I'm sure we're going to hear more about that this afternoon. We're hoping to take that live this afternoon. It's supposed to start at 3:15. FBI usually starts on time. We're going to see if we can dip into that this afternoon and listen into what they have to say. Again, that's coming up at 3:15. Also, a big case today or this week, the Supreme Court is going to convene on Wednesday to consider the legality of President Trump's executive order that would end birthright citizenship. The case is a major test. This is a key pillar for the Trump immigration agenda. And it is the first in which the high court will weigh the legal merits of one of the president's immigration policies. So the question before the court is this, is whether the president's executive order on birthright citizenship violates the citizenship clause of the 14th Amendment and a provision of federal law that codified that clause. The statute was first enacted by the Nationality Act in 1940 and then reenacted in the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952. The citizenship clause states that all persons born or naturalized in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction thereof are citizens of the United States and the state wherein they reside. So that is the case that will be heard on Wednesday by the United States Supreme Court. We'll be keeping an eye on that. Also coming up this week, the mayor, Mary Sheffield, the brand new mayor, she's set to deliver her very first State of the City address. It's going to happen tomorrow night at Mumford High School. She's going to be emphasizing what she thinks is important, what she wants to see happen during her tenure as mayor. And the one thing she is definitely going to be talking about is improving the city's neighborhoods. She's expected to unveil some details on how she aims to boost neighborhood spending and investment, and then plan to crack down on what she calls smaller crimes like larcenies, as well as breaking and entering into homes and cars that a lot of residents are saying are just a major concern in their neighborhoods. We're going to be bringing that speech to you at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. The speech itself is at 7 o'clock, but we're going to be bringing it to you at 8 o'clock tomorrow night right here on WJR. Again, Detroit Mayor Mary Sheffield, her very first State of the City address. It's going to be tomorrow night. Also, a big week this week. If you're a little nerdy and you like space travel and you like um, just all things on the unknown in our universe, NASA is preparing to send humans around the moon for the first time in more than 50 years. A lot of us remember when this happened the first time and how exciting it was. So here we go again. The liftoff is possible as soon as Wednesday. 4 astronauts will be embarking on the Artemis 2 rocket from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida. This is a 10-day mission. It'll take them beyond the moon's far side and then deeper into space than any human has traveled before. The crew also reflects a more inclusive era of exploration, including a woman, first person of color, and first Canadian to venture that deep into space. The trip comes, though, with some serious risks, as they all do, from dangerous radiation exposures to likely communications disruptions due to the sheer distance and physics involved in this flight. But all of this should happen on Wednesday, the 1st, April 1st. It'll happen at the Kennedy Space Center in Florida, Artemis 2. Now, if there are weather delays or any other technical problems, of course, they'll delay the mission, but that is set to begin. This 10-day mission is set to begin from the Kennedy Space Center in Florida on Wednesday. And a lot of folks are really, really looking forward to seeing what that trip will bring. This is, and the ultimate goal here is to set up a colony on the moon, and then from there travel on to distant planets, primarily Mars. But they first want to build this lunar base build a lunar base, and then from there travel on to Mars. So this is really exciting in terms of what is happening at NASA. First time in 50 years. Here at home, better news for those wait times at the airports. We're beginning to see the wait times ease a little bit. It was another very busy travel weekend. Obviously, we're in the middle here of Easter week, spring break. Lots of people taking their spring break right now. Staffing shortages, though, tied to the ongoing Department of Homeland Security shutdown, are still straining operations. A lot of TSA agents are continuing to work without pay. They've gone a month without pay, but we understand that they are going to be seeing paychecks within the next couple of days. Administration officials say paychecks could arrive just in the next few days under President Trump's plan to unilaterally fund the agency. Some workers are already seeing back pay processed. This is according to the American Federation of Government Employees. That's their union. The borders are Tom Homan telling CNN that they'll see whether or not ICE agents, though, are going to be leaving those airports once the TSA staffing stabilizes. So we're going to see whether the TSA agents, whether the ICE agents stay or go at the nation's airports. All right, when we come back, we are hoping to bring you this press conference with the FBI on the March 12th attack at Temple, Israel. But we're standing by for that. So we've got contingency plans. Stay with us here on JR Afternoon.
It's game day. Are your moderate to severe Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis symptoms keeping you from the action? Skyrizi, risankizumab Riza, could help you get back to the game. Skyrizi is proven to help people feel significant symptom relief, achieve remission, and visibly improve damage of the intestinal lining. Skyrizi is a prescription injection medicine for adults. Don't use if allergic to Skyrizi. Serious allergic reactions, increased infections, or lower ability to fight them may occur. Before treatment, get checked for infections and tuberculosis. Tell your doctor about any flu-like symptoms or vaccines. Liver problems leading to hospitalization may occur when treated for Crohn's or ulcerative colitis.
Control is everything to me.
Ask your doctor about Skyrizi, the #1 prescribed biologic in Crohn's and ulcerative colitis combined. Learn more at skyrizi.com or 1-866-SKYRIZI.
I'm Adam Devine, Chief Fundraiser for Children's Miracle Network. We'll fun it up. It better be fun. Have you ever wondered how our network actually works? Oh, wonder no more. With the support of partnering businesses and individual donors, we help raise crucial funds for 170 children's hospitals across the United States and Canada. Hospitals that provide life-changing care for all kids. Visit us online at cmn.org.
Get ready for the first ever Ann Arbor Wine and Spirits Festival. On Saturday, April 11th, enjoy an unforgettable day of discovery at the beautiful Rebel Run in Chelsea. Explore curated wines, small batch spirits, and Michigan's finest craft creations. Your ticket includes 10 tasting pours, a commemorative glass, and signature bites from Zingerman's Roadhouse, plus live music in the Foxhole Lounge. Tickets are limited, so don't miss out. Get yours today at AnnArborWineAndSpiritsFest.com. The Ann Arbor Wine and Spirits Festival, Saturday, April 11th. Sip, savor, and celebrate.
Vince Colonnese is redefining news talk with The Vince Show.
It is a reflection of your response to this program that we get to take this thing to the next level. These gigantic shows. This is going to be so much fun. It's unbelievable.
In-depth interviews, live caller interactions, and a front row seat to the most important conversations of the day.
I've got updates. I've got big stories. We'll sort through the truth of what's really going on. So buckle up. Here it comes.
The Vince Show. Follow and listen on your favorite platform.
Every day, unsung heroes are transforming our neighborhoods. And 760 WJR's Michigan Voices with me, Marie Osborne, is here to tell their stories. But we need your help to find them. Do you know a local nonprofit or other community organization making an impact? Help us shine a spotlight on their work. Email the details to michiganvoices@wjr.com. Let's join forces to amplify the people building a better Michigan. Michigan Voices, Sunday mornings at 5:30, only on 760 WJR.
We're on Instagram at WJR Radio. WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by MapQuest.
Before smartphones, there was MapQuest. Before GPS, there was MapQuest. Before Google Maps, there was MapQuest. And guess what? MapQuest is back. Now on your phone. No printer required. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit mapquest.com.
Weather First is sponsored by Mario's in Detroit. Mario's Detroit's traditional opening day party is Friday. Enjoy live Maine lobster and prime rib buffet lunch for just $34. Valet park at Mario's and take advantage of their free shuttle service. Just $34. It all starts at 11 a.m. Friday. Visit mariosdetroit.com for details. That's mariosdetroit.com. We've got a wreck on I-75 southbound at Dix Highway that's causing stop-and-go traffic from 4th Street. Another accident on 75 southbound at I-94 that's blocking your right lane. You're slow from Clay Street there. That wreck on the Lodge southbound 2 eastbound I-94 has cleared. And that disabled vehicle blocking your right lane on M14 westbound at Sheldon Road still there, getting a little better. Traffic is starting to move a little more swiftly. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
Pretty good storm day tomorrow all across Michigan. Severe weather, possible hail and tornadoes even on the table for Tuesday. Midday, early afternoon, our best bet here in Detroit for active, stronger, severe storms. Stay weather aware tomorrow. Could be a stormy finish to March. Cloudy today, 70 degrees. Low tonight, 60. Scattered, stronger, severe storms tomorrow, 71. Turning cooler for early April. Rain Wednesday, 42. I'm meteorologist Scott Lauriamore at the Weather Channel on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
I am so excited about Tuesday's JR Morning Show.
Why?
Well, Tuesday at 6:35, it's Mobility Makers, and I'm ready to get physical.
I don't think that's what it means, Chris. We'll be hearing how the city of Detroit is tracking buses to improve service.
So we're chasing buses. That sounds like great mobility.
Just be here on WJR, WJR.com, and the WJR app, and we'll explain it to you then.
Great. I'll start stretching now.
And we are back. Let us join right now live this press conference about from the FBI in regards to the March 12th attack at Temple Israel in West Bloomfield. We are listening to Jennifer Runyon, special agent in charge in Detroit.
Designated foreign terrorist organization. We do not make this characterization lightly without a thorough review and keen evaluation of the facts. In this case, the evidence shows the attacker was motivated and inspired by Hezbollah's militant ideology. Although the assailants' attack planning and mobilization to violence began in earnest on March 9th, which I will fully detail here shortly, A review of his online activity since January 2026 revealed a reoccurring search history of pro-Hezbollah news channels, Iranian news channels, and videos about shootouts and bullets. He regularly consumed breaking news and statements and live coverage of the current Secretary General of Hezbollah, Naim Qassem, and viewed news coverage about an Iranian fatwa for total jihad against the U.S. military. Beginning on March 9th, during the early mornings, the assailant started viewing web pages of local synagogues, and in the afternoon, he attempted to purchase a weapon from 2 different individuals, both of whom we've identified and interviewed. After those people denied his request, he then purchased an AR-style rifle at a local gun store in Dearborn Heights, along with 10 rifle magazines and approximately 300 rounds of .223 rifle ammunition. While he was at the gun store, he ordered a rifle magazine pouch, as well as 40 5.3-gallon water containers from an online store. After that gun store, he then began researching locations for local fireworks vendors. Throughout the night of March 9th, the assailant began visiting numerous different web pages of Jewish cultural, educational, and religious centers all throughout the Detroit metro area, and even viewed multiple pages of upcoming events at Temple Israel. During the morning and early morning of March 10th, he continued his online searches with specific search terms and phrases such as the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan, Orthodox synagogues, Israelis near me, what time is the Trump rally in Michigan, as well as a center affiliated with the Israeli embassy in Michigan. He later attempted to try and delete these queries, but we were able to recover them. At approximately 1 p.m. on March 10th, the assailant visited a local shooting range and practiced shooting his new weapon. He then drove to the local fireworks vendor that he researched at approximately 2 p.m. and purchased over $2,200 of fireworks. After leaving that local fireworks vendor, he continued reviewing web pages related to Temple Israel, its clergy, and its upcoming events. On March 11th, the day before the attack, in the early morning, he began adding photos to a Facebook photo album that he entitled Vengeance. And he started including images such as the late Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khomeini, as well as the late Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah. With there on the right, in Arabic, it says, "Burn their world, for we have a vendetta against them that we will never forget." Throughout that morning on the 11th, he continued to post photos of his deceased brothers, niece, and nephew, and exchanged some messages with his family. However, at approximately 2:22 p.m., the delivery of his 45.3-gallon collapsible water containers arrived. And from 2:45 onward, we see him begin planning and organizing his truck. And he goes to get gas 4 different times so that he can fill up his containers without alerting too much suspicion. By 10:50 p.m., he makes his final run to a gas station and purchases 2 torch lighters, which we believe he used to light his truck on fire. Throughout the same afternoon, while he's organizing his truck and going to gas stations, the assailant continued reviewing web pages for Temple Israel and its upcoming events. And by 6:30, he continued posting pro-Hezbollah propaganda, as well as videos of his brother, and watching a video about how Israel is the most violent country in the world. Next slide. This is just an example of some of the posts that he was posting during the afternoon of the 11th. On the left is a statement issued by the Islamic Resistance of Hezbollah about the beginning of a military operation on March 11th called El-As El-Makul, which is a term used in the Quran where it refers to the destruction of the enemy and turning the enemy into withered, dead leaves. In the bottom left of that photo on the left, you can see 2 logos. One is for the military media of the Islamic Resistance, and the second logo is for Lebanese Hezbollah. On the right is a meme with the actual verse from the Quran in the Al-Fil chapter, where it describes destroying the enemy and turning them into dead and withered leaves. At approximately 9:40 p.m., before he went to his last round of gas, he did one final search for what time is lunch at Temple Israel, and later deleted that query as well. On the morning of the attack, early in the morning hours, he posted numerous photos to Facebook of his deceased family members, as well as the following comments. Can you go back one? Right there. In the early morning hours, he continued posting on random and various Facebook profiles that said, "We will seek retribution for their sacred blood." Simu, which was a phrase for his brother, "Heaven is fortunate to have you." Israel is a cancerous, malignant growth. Israel is pure evil. And the oppressors will soon know what kind of end they will meet. By 6:56, he searched again online for additional rifle accessories. And by 7:20, he made a Facebook status post that said, "You killed the Ali and Hussein of our time. We will avenge their blood." He also posted additional comments to various Facebook threads and added additional photos to his vengeance profile photo album in Facebook. From 8:45 to 9:52 that morning, before he left, the assailant visited the web pages again of a local firearms vendor, sporting goods store, and searched for a double magazine holster. At approximately 9:18 a.m., the assailant departed for Temple, Israel, and arrived, as we all know, at approximately 9:58 a.m. At 10:01, he sends his sister a picture of a receipt that says $2,000 to Dad. And by 10:12, as he's sitting in the parking lot, he posts 4 videos, which were taken as he was driving to Temple, Israel that morning. In the background of these videos, which I'm just providing screenshots of, are Arabic anthems playing in the background that have the themes of resistance and military defiance and impending dawn. By 10:13, right after those 4 videos were posted, he posts this photo to his vengeance photo album, that there's no need to learn Hebrew anymore. Next slide. And by 10:34 onward, this is where we see a significant amount of his ideology come forward. While he's sitting in the parking lot, he sends his sister overseas 19 videos, photos, and messages that reiterated his intent to commit a mass terrorist attack, as well as affirming his Hezbollah-inspired ideology. These communications included statements expressing a commitment to commit violent action, references to martyrdom, as well as threats to attack what he described as the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan. I'm going to provide a few of the screenshots. I'm not providing comprehensively everything that we have during this time. First, here is a meme that he sent, the first one he sent to his sister. The translation is, "Jihad is the gateway to heaven, one that God opens to his chosen ones." Next slide. Next photo he sends her in order is a photo with the verse from the Quran overlaid there in yellow. "For such he has written faith in their hearts and strengthened them with the spirit from himself. And he will admit them to the gardens beneath which rivers flow to dwell therein. God will be well pleased with them and they with him. They are the party of God. Truly it is the party of God that will achieve felicity." His sister asks him to stop sending these photos, but he continues with a numerous set of videos, and I have a few screenshots. This first video in the screenshot is him sitting in the car with the same upbeat anthem from earlier, and it's called "This People Sends You a Call." And the chant in the background while he's holding the gun praises the south of Lebanon, the Hezb, the fighters, and those who die for the cause. He displays his weapon at the end of the video and says, "We rely on God." In a second video with the same screenshot, he continues with a chant in the background that encourages one to bomb the enemies and bring death upon them. It also encourages listeners to invade and attack enemy fortresses. The next video screenshot, next video he sends, is him listening to Hezbollah Secretary General Naim Qassem talking. And the Secretary General is saying that the listeners have one of 2 choices, victory or martyrdom. Qassem praises the Mujahideen in the field for giving the rest of them courage and determination. And the Arabic writing at the top in yellow says, "I remain committed." The bottom video screenshot is a video of him with the upbeat battle song in the background. The song mentions it's time for slaughter and bloodshed, and there's no time to draw back. While he's listening and recording himself driving, he yells, "Allahu Akbar," and then interrupts to declare his total devotion to God, saying that he is answering the call to heaven. Next slide. This photo, which I believe is out in the public, is a text up on the upper part, it's a verse from the Quran, that it says, the believers who are true to what they promised God, some have died for the cause and some are still waiting, but will never change. The bottom caption has the reference from earlier where it says, burn or ignite their world, for we have a vengeance or a vendetta that we will never forget. The last meme that I'll show you is a screenshot that he was taking and sent to his sister in the parking lot as well, where he covers up the Israeli flag with the yellow cover paint there and puts the phrase Party of God or Hezbollah over the Israeli flag. And yellow is a color often and always used and represent Hezbollah's sense of loyalty and sacrifice. Finally, and most concerning, is approximately 10 minutes before the attack, he sends his sister 2 final videos. In Arabic, he records himself saying with this screenshot, this is the largest gathering of Israelis in the state of Michigan, in the United States. I have booby-trapped the car. I will forcibly enter and start shooting them. God willing, I will kill as many of them as I possibly can. He sends a quick 3-second video with the same screenshot shortly after and types the message, a special operation. In between these videos and photos, the assailant exchanged 5 short phone calls with his ex-wife, who called Dearborn Heights, the police department, requesting that they do a welfare check on her ex-husband. And at 12:19, as we all know, the assailant drove his vehicle ramming into the doors of door 5, and he hit it twice. Tried once to hit it, had to reposition his truck, and then came in at a high rate of speed, going about 200 feet down the hallway. Between 12:20 and 12:22, the assailant and Temple Israel security guards exchanged gunfire before we see that the assailant appears to set off the fireworks from the interior of his vehicle at approximately 12:22. By 12:30, the vehicle is on fire and the hallway is full of smoke. We are very grateful that aside from the assailant, there were no additional fatalities. However, this evidence makes very clear the attacker intended to cause significant amounts of harm to the members and the children present at Temple Israel that day. At this stage of the investigation, we've continued to find no evidence of co-conspirators, nor do we have information that indicates a current and active threat to the community at this time. I also want to address a few points that have drawn some public attention. Despite what has been in the reporting in the media, at the time of this incident, the assailant was not the subject of or referenced in any prior FBI investigation, nor was he on the terrorist watch list. There was no evidence that he previously visited or conducted pre-physical surveillance or pre-attack surveillance at Temple Israel prior to the attack. There were no additional improvised explosive devices besides the fireworks that we have described in the vehicle other than what we've already put out. And based upon the size of the water containers, we now assess the subject used approximately 35 gallons of gasoline, not just the 20 to 30 that I had previously stated, in attempts to enhance his fireworks to set off the vehicle. Finally, I want to extend a deep thanks to my federal, state, and local partners, as well as the Jewish community organizations that have worked with us throughout this response. Their partnership has been and continues to be essential to our investigative efforts, as well as our shared mission to keep the Jewish community safe from any future threats. Thank you. And I'll now turn it over to the U.S. Attorney for the Eastern District of Michigan, Jerome Gorgon.
And you've been listening to live coverage here. The FBI, the Detroit field office, hosting a press conference this afternoon to provide an update on the March 12th attack at Temple Israel. The woman that you were hearing speaking just now is Jennifer Runyon. She's a special agent in charge here at the Detroit Bureau, and she very methodically laid out the case of what happened before this terror attack at the temple, in which Ayman Ghazali, the person who perpetrated this attack, what his thinking was in the weeks and months really before this attack happened. She outlined how he was inspired by Hezbollah before this attack. In fact, his searches online went back to January of 2026, and previous to that, searching out Hezbollah, searching out Middle East terror attacks and such searches. It was about this time when he also, now we're talking about March 9th at this point. This is when she got very specific about his actions, that he started to gather things that he needed to perpetrate this attack. One of which was that he went to a gun shop and he bought guns. He also bought fireworks during this period of time. He also ordered water containers from online, these giant jugs for holding water, which he later used to put gasoline in them and put them in the back of his truck. She believes that there were about 35 gallons of gasoline in that truck in those containers. He searched also online for Jewish events within the city of Detroit or the Detroit area. He searched Jewish organizations, searched Jewish places of worship. This was again March 9th or 10th. He started several Facebook pages, but one in particular was titled Vengeance. And it was there that he posted about his two brothers and his niece and nephew who were killed in Lebanon by Israeli bombing. And that is where his rhetoric was very pointed and very much in support of the actions of Hezbollah. He finally, the day before, about March 11th, these containers that he had ordered online finally arrived. And that's when he started to go back and forth to various different gas stations to fill up his truck so that he'd have gasoline to put in these containers, but without alerting suspicion. In other words, he didn't go back to the same gas station over and over. He put the gas tanks in the back of his truck, and on March 12th, that's where he decided that he would finally go to Temple, Israel, and West Bloomfield. He even posted or sent a message to his sister saying that this was the largest Jewish temple in the state of Michigan and even in the United States. And that's, he sent that message out. He also sent photos and messages to his sister, and she told him to stop sending those messages. He appeared to be an individual who was consumed by anger and retribution. 10 minutes before the attacks, he tells his sister he will attack Temple, Israel. He made 5 short phone calls to his ex-wife. She called the police at that point, asking for a welfare check. It was at 12:20 that he arrived at Temple, Israel. He attempted to make entry into the building by ramming his truck through the front door. It didn't go through. He repositioned his truck, and the second time he went through, he exchanged gunshots with the security staff that was within that building. And he also lit a fuse to light the fireworks that were in his vehicle and to an attempt also to light the gas tanks. And of course, this started a big fire in the building. Jennifer Runyon, the special agent in charge of the FBI here in Detroit, put to rest several concerns that had been risen in the last couple of weeks. She said that there were no co-conspirators in this case. There had been no FBI investigation of this individual, Ayman Ghazali. He was not on a terror watch list, and he had not made any previous visits or any surveillance visits to Temple, Israel. Lots of information to consume here, but obviously a very, very methodical timetable has now been released by the FBI on this horrific attack on Temple, Israel on March 12th. Thankfully, none of the children who were inside that building, none of the staff who were inside that building were hurt. Again, you've been listening to live coverage of that FBI press conference here in the city of Detroit. We will continue here on JR Afternoon. Stay with us.
WJR Traffic and Weather first.
This report is sponsored by MapQuest.
Before smartphones, there was MapQuest. Before GPS, there was MapQuest. Before Google Maps, there was MapQuest. And guess what? MapQuest is back. Now on your phone. No printer required. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit mapquest.com.
Clouds for Tuesday, scattered thunderstorms in the afternoon. Some of those may be severe. A high of 71. Right now it's sunny and 70 degrees. I'm Rich Luzensky, WJR Traffic and Weather First.
Snow, ice, and winter weather can be dangerous. When a business does nothing to protect you, when a business fails to make their property safe for visitors, that's where we step in. At Michigan Slip and Fall Lawyers, we protect people hurt in slip and fall accidents. Michigan Slip and Fall Lawyers has recovered millions in compensation for our injured clients. We're the only law firm in Michigan specializing in slip and fall accidents, and we're here to protect you. Michigan Slip and Fall Lawyers. Go to falllaw.com now for your free consultation. That's falllaw.com.
I'm David Hall from Hall Financial. We make mortgages easy, and we believe transparency is the key to great client service. Our clients get the lowest rate and fees while communicating with one home loan advisor from start to finish. To make your experience even easier, we're going to cover the cost of your appraisal. Transparent and direct communication, lowest rates and fees, and a free appraisal. The client just means more at Hall Financial. 866-CALL-HALL or callhallfirst.com.
Hall Financial, Equal Housing Lender. NMLS number 1467435.
While retinitis pigmentosa takes Mark's vision, his family gives him hope, whether at the family business or at home with his wife and sons. He knows he's not fighting alone. For 50 years, the Foundation Fighting Blindness has funded research into treatments and cures for blinding retinal diseases, providing hope to people with vision loss. And for Mark, winning the fight means being there for his family. The Foundation Fighting Blindness. Together, we're winning. Help us end blinding diseases at fightingblindness.org.
Indeed presents hires you can't afford to get wrong, like a staff accountant at the height of tax season.
Congrats. Looks like the company owes, $50 in taxes. How about that?
That seems low. Why only 50?
Why do you care so much? It's not your money.
This is the time for sponsored jobs.
This is what happens when you don't sponsor your job on Indeed. Next time, get matched with quality candidates with Indeed sponsored jobs. Visit Indeed.com/hire now and sponsor your job today.
At Average Amy's Coffee Corner, our coffee has caffeine, our muffins are cooked, and our services, well, we're here. Come on by for an average cup of joe.
Average doesn't build great businesses. Cumulus Digital does, outperforming industry benchmarks by more than 25%. We deliver smarter digital marketing to over 4,000 local businesses every month and drive real, measurable growth. You're not average. Your marketing results shouldn't be either. Visit cumulusdigital.com to start outperforming today.
This winter might not have been the worst one on record, but it's up there. Aside from being hard on people, it's even tougher on our homes. Hi, it's Paul W. for my friends here at Victor's Home Solutions. If the freeze-thaw cycles this winter created even the slightest crack in the shingles or sealant on your roof, you're going to have water in your home this spring when the rains hit. That's why you need to call Victor's today and schedule a free 21-point roof inspection before the rainy season. They'll go over every inch of your roof and review their findings with you. And if they do find a problem, it can usually be fixed with an inexpensive repair. But if it is time for a new roof, you could not hire a better company than Victor's. Over-the-top customer service, highly skilled crews that install a perfect roof every time. And best of all, they offer a 50-year leak-free guarantee on every roof they install. So give them a call for your free roof inspection today. 866-VICTORS. That's 866-VICTORS. Or online at victors.com. Victors.com.
Everybody's got their opening day ritual. Some pack the cooler. Some dust off a lucky jersey. Some quietly promise themselves they'll pace that first beverage. Whatever your ritual looks like, opening day downtown is back. Comerica Park is the center of the universe for a few glorious hours, and WJR has you covered with what to expect and everything happening around the ballpark. As the season officially begins, celebrate opening day baseball with us on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to catch a game.
Your morning is busy, so we'll keep it brief. Upgrade your routine with WJR's 5 Things First Thing. JR Morning with Chris, Lloyd, and Jamie break down the top 5 stories in just 5 minutes. Delivered straight to your device. Start your day by hitting play. Subscribe today on the always free WJR app.
And we are back here on JR Afternoon. Let's check in with Steve Courtney. Steve, we've had a lot of breaking news this afternoon. I know you've got a short cast for us here to let us know what's happening in sports.
All right. And Marie, good afternoon to you. Hello again, everyone. There is a lot going on. First and foremost, of course, March Madness has made its way to the Final Four. All the action going on in Indy on Saturday. Number 3 seeded Illinois getting together with number 2 seeded UConn. That will be 6:09 Saturday. Illinois favored by 1.5. And of course, Dusty May and his Michigan basketball Wolverines, a 1 seed. Oh, they get another 1 seed in Arizona. That will be the nightcap on Saturday, 8:49. The Wolverines, a 1.5 favorite there. In the NBA, your Pistons in action tonight, and how? They are in Oklahoma City to take on the Thunder. That's going to be a 9:30 start. The Pistons have won 6 of their last 7. Oklahoma City, meanwhile, they are 59-15, knocking on the door for win number 60. By the way, the Thunder, dominant on the home floor. They're 31-7 there. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shooting 55%, averaging 31.4 points for the Thunder. Last 10 games, the Thunder 9-1. The Pistons going in 8-2 in that span. The Detroiters just 8 games left. Their lead over the Celtics now in the Eastern Conference at 4 games. And when you look at the NBA as a whole, and as far as win percentage goes, OKC at 787, San Antonio 757, and the Pistons third in the entire league with a winning percentage of 730. Meanwhile, baseball tonight continues early in the season for your Detroit Tigers. They're in Arizona to kick off a 3-game set with the D-backs. You're going to want to stay up. 10-10 first pitch. I know it's late, but you've got Justin Verlander, turned 43 in February, making his regular season debut, well, again, for the Tigers. Tigers taking 2 of 3 from the Padres. The Diamondbacks, by the way, they will go into the start of this series 0-3. And quickly, if you're wondering what's going on with the Winged Wheelers, they're up against it. They will play in Pittsburgh. Sidney Crosby and the Penguins, 7 o'clock tomorrow night. Red Wings, of course, coming off the 5-3 loss to Philadelphia, sadly, on Saturday night. And you take a look at what's happening in the Atlantic Division. Tampa Bay on top with 98 points, Buffalo with 98, Montreal with 94, Boston with 92, and then we've got Ottawa and the Red Wings with 86. More importantly, the wild card. Boston holds the top spot with their 92 points. Columbus now in number 2 with 88. Then you've got Ottawa and the Red Wings both at 86. Time is running out for the Red Wings to have an impact and get to the postseason for the first time in almost a decade. They've only got 9 games left.
Thank you, Steve Courtney. We appreciate it. We'll be right back here on JR Afternoon.
Hey, gang, it's Ryan Ermanni. I want to tell you about my friends at Game Day Men's Health in Plymouth. Have you made the call yet? What are you waiting for? I've been working with them since mid-October, and in that time, and I mean this, I've never felt better in my adult life. I've lost over 30 pounds thanks to them. I'm using them for weight loss, but they specialize in personalized, science-backed men's health treatments, testosterone replacement, peptides, medical weight loss, all designed specifically for men. At Game Day Men's Health in Plymouth, it is more than just an online point-and-click transaction. These are real people delivering real results. Every treatment plan customized to meet your specific needs. Do yourself a favor. Call them today. A complimentary consultation, 734-927-1718. That number again, 734-927-1718. Game Day Men's Health on Ann Arbor Road in Plymouth.
Now WJR Health Watch. Here's Lloyd Jackson.
Often people think physical therapy is just for post-surgery recovery, but its primary goal is much broader, restoring function and getting you back to the life you love.
Well, here we see a lot of orthopedic cases and some sports medicine cases. So we're going to look at what the patient needs for their lifestyle, whether it's rehabbing from a sports injury or getting back to work or just back to their normal lifestyle with less pain and better mobility.
That's Travis Somerville, one of the physical therapists at Henry Ford Physical Therapy inside the Beverly Hills Community Health Club on Southfield Road. His co-worker, physical therapist David Selleck, says they always start with an individual assessment and then incorporate what the patient's goals are.
I mean, I would say, the unique thing at Henry Ford, which is great, is all the care is one-on-one with your physical therapist. So because of that, really allows us to individualize the approach, taking into consideration some of the things that Travis said, special things that are significant to the patient. I mean, that's usually where we start to keep it more individualized.
Meanwhile, Travis says while Henry Ford has many physical therapy sites, their location at the Beverly Hills Club offers a unique high-energy gym setting that bridges the gap between clinical rehab and everyday fitness.
We have access to a lot of their weight machines, exercise equipment that you wouldn't have access to at a normal clinic.
And David agrees.
But it is kind of unique, like Travis said, just to kind of offer a different flavor.
For more information about Henry Ford's physical therapy, go to henryford.com/services/rehabilitation. I'm Lloyd Jackson for WJR Health Watch.
Your child's education is the foundation for tomorrow's leaders. Listen every Sunday at 3 p.m. for School Talks, hosted by Dr. Robert Livernoy. A conversation on all things education, from parents and students to educators and policymakers. School Talks is dedicated to in-depth discussions and analysis with experts on a wide range of topics in education. Sponsored by Collins and Blaha, attorneys at law, specializing in the representation of school districts. Collins and Blaha, your education experts. collinsandblaha.com.
WJR Traffic and Weather First.
This report is sponsored by MapQuest.
Before smartphones, there was MapQuest. Before GPS, there was MapQuest. Before Google Maps, there was MapQuest. And guess what? MapQuest is back. Now on your phone. No printer required. Download the MapQuest app on the App Store or visit mapquest.com.
We have a disabled vehicle blocking your right lane on M14 westbound at Sheldon Road. Another wreck on the northbound Southfield Freeway on-ramp from Schoolcraft. And steer clear of a wreck on I-75 southbound at Dixie Highway. That's causing some stop-and-go traffic from Fort Street. Now, WJR Weather First from the Weather Channel. Here's your forecast.
Showers, thunderstorms popping into the forecast. Some could be strong or severe, especially tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow evening. Best bet for active, strong, and severe storms Tuesday to close down the month of March. Mostly cloudy and 70 degrees today. Low tonight 60. Isolated shower today. Scattered storms tomorrow. Some severe. High 71. I'm meteorologist Scott Larimore at the Weather Channel on 760 WJR, where Michigan comes to talk.
Call us or text us. The number's the same. 1-800-859-0957. 1-800-859-0WJR. Powered by Michigan Auto Law. Auto Accident Attorneys. Visit autolaw.com. That's autolaw.com.
All right, we are back. We had some major breaking news this afternoon as the FBI, the Detroit field office, had a press conference to update everyone on their findings from the March 12th attack at Temple, Israel. Jennifer Runyon is the special agent in charge in Detroit. She is the one who held this press conference, although there were people from the Department of Justice there as well, giving some results of their investigation. But we learned so much about the thinking that was going on with this individual who perpetrated this attack at Temple, Israel. Ayman Ghazali of Dearborn Heights. Search terms on the internet. Of course, that's the first place they start to look, investigators, as to a motive behind this attack. And they found a lot of material there. He had specific search terms, things like, what is the largest gathering of Israelis in Michigan? What time is the Trump rally in Michigan? And his very last search this was on March 12th. What time is lunch at Temple, Israel? At that point, Agent Runyonson, Ghazali posted several Facebook messages, including the oppressors will soon know what kind of end they will meet, and we will avenge their blood. We do now know that he had two brothers who were killed in Lebanon, along with a young niece and nephew who were also killed in the bombings in Lebanon done by Israel during this war. So we do know that, and we do know that that was probably the motivating factor here. He also sent messages and photos to his sister who was overseas that it's clearly stated he intended to commit a mass terror attack uh, because of his Hezbollah ideology. She told him to stop sending the messages. About 10 minutes before the attack, he made several calls to his ex wife. And that's when she called the police asking for a welfare check. She said in one of those messages, he sent a video actually, and it said, "I have booby trapped my car. God willing, I will kill as many of them as I possibly can." And of course, at that time, his Ford F-150 was outside of Temple, Israel, in on Walnut Lake Road, and this was just around noontime on March 12th. He died of a self-inflicted gunshot wound to the head during a shootout with the synagogue security guards. Um, and also, uh, Ghazali provided material support to Hezbollah, which, of course, is designated by the U.S. government as a foreign terror organization by the U.S. government. So this is clearly somebody, according to the FBI, who was inspired by Hezbollah, the terror group Hezbollah, clearly consumed by anger and the idea of retribution for the deaths of his two brothers, as well as his niece and nephew overseas. Also, it was noted during this press conference because there's been a lot of reporting on this, a lot of theories about this individual, about the 41-year-old attacker in this case. And the FBI says that he had no co conspirators in this particular action. No FBI investigation. There had been no FBI investigation into him or any into him previous to this incident. He was not on a terror watch list, and he had made no previous visits to Temple, Israel. In other words, he didn't surveil Temple, Israel before these attacks, but it was very clear that he did research online about where to perpetrate this particular crime. Once again, thankfully, none of the more than 100 children who were in the building at that time were hurt, or any of the staff that were hurt there. There was one security guard who was injured. So there you have it. There's plenty more of this information that's going to be unfolding for the rest of this afternoon, and lots to think about here as to how and why this incident really happened. We're glad you joined us this afternoon here on JR Afternoon. We've got Mitch Albom, Kenny Brown, the crew coming up next here on WJR. I'm Marie Osborne. I'm in for Ryan Ermanni. We'll be back tomorrow for more JR Afternoon. Have a great afternoon, everyone.